We're looking at a Chenbro SR107 server chassis. This one is a full-size pedestal server chassis. They have options, of course, to turn this into a rack mount if you want. But yeah, I'm going to use it as a pedestal server. I picked this one up from Newegg as a return open box item. Paid just a little over $100 for it. Thought that was a pretty good deal, as they normally sell for around $300. Has 3 5¼ bays, one 3.5-inch sideways bay. To open the front, you press the 2 little tabs at the top, fold the front panel down. There you can see the 3 5¼ bays and the sideways 3.5-inch bay. It has the 2 3.5-inch 4-drive cages, 3 5¼ bays, 3.5-inch bay, USB 2.0 ports. In the sideways 3.5-inch bay, I think I'll go ahead and install a USB 3.5-inch converter. It has both audio and USB 3.0 in it, but that way I'll have out the front both USB 3.0 and USB 2.0. So to open the side of the chassis, just has these 3 thumb screws. Then the side of the chassis you just push forward. Looks like it's a little tight for me to do one-handed, so I'll set the camera down just for a second. So like I say, just push from the back, the whole side panel slides forward and then comes off. You can see it has a lot of room inside. This particular server chassis Chenbro's made for quite some time. I've used a number of their smaller chassis, the SR209s, and really enjoyed them. So this time in building a server, I decided to try the SR107 chassis. This one they've made for approximately 10 years, but I really like the Chenbro cases due to the fact that they use a really good grade of metal, sheet metal, to put them together. So you can see it has the, let me twist it here into the light better. You can see it has the 2 large fans to pull the air flow through over the hard disk drives. I like that it has a place for the rails built right into the case, so that you have a place to hold the 5¼ inch drive rails if you don't use them. I always find myself trying to locate those for old cases, or a lot of times just place them in the bottom of the case in a plastic bag so that I don't lose them. But in this case, they're integrated right into the case, so you don't have to worry about losing them. This one has a ATX style power supply panel. So you can see here a standard ATX style power supply will fit in it. They have an option to replace that and put a redundant power supply. You just take the screws out, this slides out, and then buy the other plate for the back. It's available, last time I looked, on even Amazon sells them. It's only about 10 or 15 bucks, so not really very expensive to get. So turning the case around to the front here, you can see the 3.5-inch has the 2 tabs. Then the 3.5-inch hard drive bays just have these thumb screws. A couple of them are kind of tight, so let me grab a screwdriver. So now that I've loosened them with the screwdriver, the bays just slide right out. They include the fan kit holder. So those green tabs you use, you can place a fan in that and put in the front. And then also includes the screws and power splitter to screw in the hard drives. The little rubber grommets provide vibration protection. They help reduce the vibration that the drives have. It's a really nice feature. And then right here on the front is where the fan would slide in. So again, it holds 4 3.5-inch drives. And then they have the option of doing a hot swap cage, and that's what I have here, and I'll show you in just a minute. So they have the 3.5-inch solution like I have here, as well as they have the option to do 2.5-inch drives as well. If you know you're going to do 2.5-inch, then you could buy the 2.5-inch hot swap bays, and those bays hold 6 drives instead of the 4 like the 3.5-inch bays hold. So it would be worth your while to make that decision ahead of time. In this case, I'm going to use the 3.5-inch drives, so I purchased the 3.5-inch hot swap bay that can slide into this slot. So you have the 2 slots, so you could do 3.5-inch in one and 2.5-inch in the other. Many of the ATX server type cases will have the hard drive bays with just 2 pieces of metal running on each side. I don't like those cases very well because once you load them up with drives, it seems like the metal flexes and the drives no longer fit properly. So when it comes time to replace a drive, the metal is flexed and the drives no longer line up very well. So that's not an issue with this case. So this is what the 3.5-inch hot swap bay looks like. Again, it holds 4 drives. And then the nice thing about these is they are in fact made out of metal, so they hold up really well. It does have the screw holes so that you can put 2.5-inch drives in, but understand you can only put in 4 2.5-inch drives if you use this hot swap cage. Again, in my case, I'm going to use 3.5-inch drives, so I opted to buy the 3.5-inch hot swap bay. So I'll probably pick up another one. This one I happened to see on Amazon, and I had a gift card I could use to pick it up. What I'll probably do is in the 2 5.25-inch slots, I'll use a 5.25 to 2.5-inch drive bay, either a 4-port or a 6-port, so I can have the 2.5-inch drives, either 4 or 6 in each of those. I'll end up being able to support approximately 10 2.5-inch drives. With the front of the case back on again, they provide a nice little door to gain access to your hot swap bays if you have the hot swap bay installed. Obviously, you can't access the fixed drives, but you can see if the fan is spinning if you install a fan. You have access to the 2 USB 2.0 ports. Then as you can see, you have the lights on the front, 2 network lights, 1 hard disk light, 1 power light. Then a lock on the front of the cage. Have the reset button, and then a reset alarm button and the alarm light. Let's take a closer look at the drive cage that's included with the SR107 case. The included fixed drive case is very ruggedly constructed. It has the nice little rubber grommets to hold the hard drives and provide some vibration protection. Has a nice slot to put in a 92 millimeter fan. Just slides right down in here. Here's the included kit that comes inside of each one of the fixed drive bays. Includes a nice Y power adapter, 4-pin, and then 2 plastic slides to hold the 92 millimeter fan. You'd have to provide your own fan to use these. And then the screws that are to be used with the rubber grommets to hold the hard drives. So the power adapter isn't anything really special. It's just a standard power adapter, 4-pin power adapter. Let's see how many screws they give us. They're made really nicely so they don't crush the rubber grommets. You can see there it has a little place where the screws stop so that it doesn't over crush the rubber vibration protection. There's enough for one drive. Two drives. Three drives. Four drives. And 5 drives. So you have enough for 5 hard drives, even though the drive cage only supports 4 hard drives. So they give you basically 4 extra screws. So let's take a look at the fan slides. I've installed one of the slides on a 92 millimeter fan. It has these little tabs that slide into the holes of a 92 millimeter fan. I've already installed this one for this side. You just press them together and push it onto the fan. They click into place. Slide your cables through the hole. Determine the direction of airflow that you want to have. And the fan just slides in. You push the 2 tabs and the fan slides out. If you can see down in the bottom, it has a nice little bumper that stops the fan from sitting on the metal and provides some vibration protection for the fan. If you have a fan that gets a little wobbly, it won't cause noise by rattling in the drive cage. It's a really nice added feature. Makes it really nice to get the fan easily in and out of the cage. Again, you just slide your wires through, determine the airflow, and the fan just clicks into place. Again, you just squeeze the tabs and the fan slides right out. I think the included drive cage with the extra fan would be a great option for the 10,000 RPM Western Digital Raptor drives. Overall, I think it's a great hard drive bay that's included with the case. It's a nice feature to have the 92 millimeter front fan option. Let's take a look at the optional 3.5 inch hot swap drive cage. The hot swap drive cage holds 4 3.5 inch hard drives. You push the button to release the sled and it slides right out. It has plastic slides on the side that provide easy sliding, and it's made out of metal. Has a plastic clip that stops the airflow for when the drive slide is not being used. You'll want to remove this slide whether installing a 3.5 inch drive or a 2.5 inch drive. But if you're not going to install a drive in each of the sleds, then just leave the plastic in place so that it will force the air over the other drives. Has little clips that fit into little holes on each side. Has the holes for 2.5-inch drives, so you can install 4 2.5-inch drives, but obviously you will want to, even though you're using the 2.5-inch drives, remove the plastic so that it can provide adequate airflow. The air will obviously be blocked if you forget to take the plastic clip out, so even if you're using 2.5-inch drives, be sure to remove that plastic piece so that it'll provide adequate airflow. Just slide it back in again and push the drive back in. They're pretty easy to slide in and out. Just make sure that you line them up correctly and push them in. Now remember that the fans that are included in the case are what cools the hot swap hard drive cage. You don't have the option to have a fan on the front of this cage, so the included 4-bay hard drive cage has that extra feature where you can install that 92 millimeter fan on the front to provide airflow. And in the case of the hot swap cage, you have to depend on the 220 millimeter fans inside the cage to provide enough airflow. Now, I've used 7200 RPM drives with these drive cages, and it provides adequate airflow. It's very similar in construction to the hot swap cage that is made for the SR209 case. On the 209 case has a fan that clicks onto the back and sucks air through the holes, but in this case you have to depend on the 120 millimeter fan to provide enough air to cool the 4 drives that are included in the drive cage. The two 120 millimeter fans ordinarily provide enough airflow to keep the drives cool with 7200 RPM drives or 5400 RPM drives. But keep that in mind. If you're using 10,000 RPM drives, you might need that extra fan in the front to provide enough airflow across the 10,000 RPM drives. That way both the 120 millimeter fans and the 92 millimeter fans can keep those 10,000 RPM Western Digital Raptor drives, for example, cool enough. I've used the drive cage in the SR209 cases, used both 7200 RPM and 5400 RPM, and didn't have any problems. The fan provides enough airflow to keep the drives cool. So on the back of the case, you have the 4 SATA connectors, and then the 2 plug-ins for the fan. So you could plug both of your 120 millimeter fans into this. 2 4-pin power adapters that both have to provide power, and when they're plugged in, it will provide enough power for the 2 fans if you'd like. And then a piezo speaker to alarm when a hard disk has failed. Rugged construction. It's a very nice hot swap drive cage. Of course, the motherboard has to support hot swap in order to hot swap drives, or the controller card that you're using needs to support hot swap in order to hot swap drives. So make sure you don't pull out any drives unless the hard disk controller supports hot swap capability. Well, that's it. That's a walkthrough of the Chenbro 107 case and optional 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch hot swap hard drive cage. So this has been a walkthrough of the Chenbro S107 pedestal server chassis, and it's a case that I like. I hope that you found this video to be informative, and I hope that you'll consider purchasing the Chenbro SR107 server chassis, and if you need them, one or two of the optional hot swap bays. Thank you for watching.